Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy naan bread. We are having butter chicken for dinner tonight and I make a homemade naan with that. And if you want to watch the video on the homemade butter chicken, it's way better than takeout. I'll link that down below. But let's get started on some quick and easy naan bread. Come on. All right, to get started on our naan, we're going to take a half a cup of warm water. We're going to put a teaspoon of sugar. If you're wondering why I did that, it's because look at this. My other one, it's in the dishwasher. I don't get rid of anything. And then we're going to do 2 teaspoons of yeast. And so we're just going to mix that in. And we're going to let that bloom. Okay, so while we have that blooming, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put 1 egg into our bowl. And we're going to do 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to do a 1/4 cup of our plain yogurt. Go ahead and mix that together a little bit. We're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm just using regular old salt here. Use whatever kind of salt you'd like. And then we're going to do, so now that you can see that our yeast is bloomed, see how it's frothy, foamy? We're going to pour that in. A little bit of sugar down in the bottom there. The sugar just helps the yeast. It feeds the yeast. So now we are going to do 2.5 to 3 cups of all-purpose flour. It varies depending on where you live. If it's like here, it's very dry. So I usually I'll probably need just 2.5. But where you're at may be very humid, so you may need 3. So you just mix it up and see what it looks like. At this point, you kind of have a shaggy dough, or you do have a shaggy dough, not kind of, that's literally what it is. And we're going to go ahead and knead this. But I think I might need to put a little bit more flour because it is pretty sticky. So I'm just going to sprinkle some in. So if you need it and it's still pretty sticky, add a little bit. You don't want to add too much flour, so you want to kind of be careful with it. You don't want to go, because it'll come together as you need it. You could do this in a stand mixer if you wanted. I do have a stand mixer. I do use it for making bread dough sometimes, but I really like to knead the dough. To me, it feels very therapeutic. And it gets me moving my body. So I like it, but if you don't, by all means use a stand mixer. So you don't need to go get really crazy with it, but you can see that's a nice smooth dough. And we're just going to oil our bowl. You can put it back into the bowl you used to mix it. I'm just going to cover it with a little bit of olive oil. And then we're just going to stick a towel over it to keep it from drying out. We're going to let this rise for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the temperature of your house. So we'll be back. So here's our naan bread. It has doubled. You could let this go a little bit longer if you wanted. I'm going to start cooking it. And so what we're going to do is I just pull it out. You can punch it down if you want. It's going to get punched down. But we are going to cut this into 8 pieces. So I'd like to leave it in a round like that. And then I want to get a bench scraper so I can just use that to cut my stuff, but I don't have one. So if you don't have fancy kitchen tools, which I'm not saying that that is one, but it's okay. You can still make really good things. Like this, I've had this thing for over 20 years. Okay. So we're going to cut our naan bread into 8 pieces. And you're going to put these into a ball like so. And you want to do it fairly quickly because we don't want it to dry out too much because we're going to cover it back up. So we're going to get all of this into our little balls. And so I just kind of fold it on itself like that. And then I just give it a quick little whippy-do around. And they don't need to be perfect. I mean, if you want them to be all exact, you could weigh that, like I weigh them out or whatever. I do not do that. So I have a cast iron skillet heating up and I have it on medium, which I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. You don't want it to be too hot because it'll burn one side before it gets, you know, to where it's cooking. And when you're rolling these out, you don't want them to be too thick and you don't want them to be too thin. Too thick and they won't bubble up, so you won't get that kind of bubbly brown bits that naan is known for, you know, like little bubbly brown bits. Too thin and it'll be hard, too thick and it will be not like that. You know what I mean? Okay. So when you first like get these into balls, are kind of like a little tough. When you let them sit, like they relax a little bit and the gluten relaxes. And you can use bread flour for these and it makes them even better. I have all purpose right now, so that's what I'm using. I have used both. Both is great. Either way. And you can see that this kind of just needs to relax a minute. So we're gonna give it a second so it can relax. Let me give it just a split sec here. So I've got my pan heating up over there. And I did take and I minced up some garlic, melted some butter and some parsley, and I'm going to brush this on the naan after it cooks. So I'm going to sprinkle, and if you need to, you can sprinkle a little bit of flour down just to help with sticking. You don't need too much, but it'll help you get it rolled out to the right. Now it is really hard because I don't really know how to describe how thick. I mean, I've never really measured it and I don't have a ruler in here to measure. I want to say it's not like as thin as a tortilla, but it's also like, I don't know. It's got some thickness to it. Don't look at my stove. That back there, that happened earlier. This first one, a lot of times does not turn out very well. So don't be shocked if it doesn't. It's like you almost got to get one under your belt every time you cook them to like, I don't know, to get the groove. We're just going to put that way so you can get the groove. I am going to use tongs. So if I have nails on, I'll just use my nails, but I don't. I was going to do them at work today and I did not. Anyway, so I have a silicone brush for brushing on butter after it's been cooked. But you can see this is starting to bubble up. So you want it to bubble. Like I said, this first one kind of is your like tester round. Sometimes doesn't always look pretty. It's still edible, but it's not like, you know, awe-inspiring. It's not like, oh my God. I set a towel to the side because I'm just going to set them in between this clean kitchen towel while I'm cooking them. And then after that, I'll brush them with the butter. So you can see that we're getting a nice bubble right there. That's what you want to see. So if it's at the right thickness, it will do this. If it's too thin, it'll be more like a tortilla. And if it's too thick, it won't bubble up. So this is perfect. So we're going to cook this on each side for 1 to 2 minutes, depending on how high you have your heat. I'm going to let this sit, especially since this is like my first one of this non-baking session. And so you can see that that's what this side looks like. And we're going to let it cook on its other side. And while that's cooking, I'm going to get another piece rolled out over here, just so it's ready to go as soon as this one's done. And it doesn't really take a super long time. Sometimes it's not even a full minute that it needs to sit. And, you know, if you have a tandoori or whatever, I didn't mean to blow that bubble, but you could, you know, do that too. Okay, so there's our first one. I'm just going to set that to the side there. We're going to put our second one down. And so this is what I do. So I just take, we are not going to do the butter yet. We're just going to keep that to the side for right now. We'll do that when we get done. But I'm going to take my piece of naan and I just set it on my towel, cover it up. You can see how these bubbles are forming. That's what we want to see. So that looks really good. Take a peek and see if that's ready to flip. It is. Beautiful piece of naan. And you want to get these nice and dark. These are something you definitely want a nice dark golden brown cook on. You don't want to burn them per se, but you want to get them nice and golden brown. So that way you're ensuring that it's cooked all the way through and it gets that delicious naan flavor. See, beautiful. All right, guys, so now now that we've got all of our naan cooked, you can see it turned out beautifully. We're gonna take our garlic, parsley, and butter, and we're just gonna rub it on the top. We're just gonna slather that on our warm naan. It's gonna give it really, really great flavor. If you like this video, would you please hit like and subscribe? I would really appreciate it. Again, we're going to have this with my better than takeout buttered chicken recipe tonight, and I will link that video down in the description box below if you'd like to go over and watch that. And thank you so much for being here with me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And let me know down below also if you tried this recipe out. I would really love to hear if you like it or not. Oop, I'm dropping this everywhere. See, here's our first piece. Remember how I told you it won't be quite as beautiful as the rest, but it still tastes good. Voila, there is our bread. Ooh, delicious. Amazing naan. Bye-bye.